What's up, Broncos Country? Man, if someone had told you at the start of the season that the Denver Broncos would be sitting at 9 wins and 2 losses, leading the AFC West with 2 straight victories against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, you probably would have told that person to take a drug test, right? But that's exactly what's happening here in Mile High, and I can't even believe I'm writing these words. The Denver Broncos aren't just playing well. We're starring in one of the greatest turnarounds in recent NFL history, and it makes me think, is the NFL scripted? Because even George Lucas himself couldn't write a script as epic as what we're living through. And you know what's crazier? We have several Anakin Skywalkers on this team, players and coaches who were almost run out of town, who heard boos at Empower Field at Mile High, who read in the papers that they were washed up. And now? Now these guys are saving the orange and blue galaxy. Stick with me until the end because there's a detail about this season that will completely change how you see this team. Let's start with the most insane redemption arc I've ever seen in my life as a fan, Vance Joseph. This name, my friends, was literally synonymous with failure in Denver. The guy was literally run out of town, fired as the Broncos head coach with an embarrassing record of 11 wins and 21 losses. Remember that having the time of my life? It became a meme, a national joke, fodder for mockery on ESPN. And then came that dark day in our history, 70-20 against the Miami Dolphins, 70-20. I still have nightmares about that score. That was absolute rock bottom for the Denver Broncos. And you know who was coordinating that defense? Vance Joseph. Guys like Rex Ryan went on national TV to say that Vance was done, that Sean Payton had to fire him immediately. But Payton did something few coaches would have the courage to do. He stuck with the guy. "I'm with this guy. I'm not firing him," Payton said, and all of Broncos Nation thought he'd lost his mind. All the rumors on the Pat McAfee show about possibly hiring Rex Ryan were pure nonsense. Payton saw something we didn't see at that moment. And look where we are now. Vance Joseph is leading one of the best defenses in NFL history. I'm not exaggerating. NFL history. We're on pace to break the league's sack record, with Nick Bonito leading the charge with absurd numbers. The Denver Broncos defense is making all-pro quarterbacks look like amateurs. And against Patrick Mahomes in the last game, pure clinic. In the first half, we only pressured 4 times. We let Mahomes get comfortable, and look, it almost went bad. But in the second half, Vance Joseph pulled out the secret playbook and just crushed them with blitzes on 45% of plays. Mahomes was lost, confused, terrified. That look on his face on the sideline when he took the 3rd straight sack, that was Vance Joseph showing who's boss. He's an elite defensive strategist and will definitely get offers to be a head coach again. And you know what's beautiful about all this? He deserves it. Every offer, every compliment, every bit of recognition. Because the guy persevered. He took the criticism, the boos, the memes, and came back stronger. That, my friends, is Marvel movie-worthy redemption. If there's one name that made Broncos Country want to pull their hair out, that name was Garrett Ballys. Number 72. Just saying that number, some of you are already having traumatic flashbacks. I know. The guy was the king of holding penalties. In 2019, it was 17 penalties. 17. It seemed like every important play had that yellow flag flying and the ref saying, "Holding, offense, number 72. I myself, I confess, called for his head. How many times did we yell, "Cut this guy," at our TV? How many times didn't we say he was a bust, that the organization had screwed up in the draft? But the Broncos didn't give up on him. And look at the transformation. Garrett Bowles is now one of the highest-rated left tackles, according to Pro Football Focus, in all of football. He's not facing weak opponents either, folks. The guy has already played against Max Crosby of the Raiders, and we didn't even hear Max Crosby's name that game. He faced Will Anderson of the Texans, who's one of the biggest prospects in the league. And 2 years ago, against the Cleveland Browns, he shut down Myles Garrett, who's basically the Thanos of defensive ends. And you know what's most impressive? Bo Nix is one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the entire NFL. This is the exact same offensive line where Russell Wilson was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in recent football history. It was 63 sacks during Russell's season, an absurd number that made us want to cry every week. And now, Bo Nix only took 24 sacks all last season and is on an even better pace this year. The game against the Chiefs was atypical. He took 2 sacks on a single drive, which almost never happens. That was constant with Russell Wilson, every single game. The evolution of Garrett Ballys, of the entire offensive line, is massive. And there's a great chance he'll end up being Offensive Lineman of the Year, from city villain to best in position candidate. If that's not cinema, I don't know what is. Now let's talk about the quarterback who was destined to be another bust, another wrong pick by Sean Payton, Bo Nix. Remember the start of last season? 4 interceptions in the first 2 weeks. Colin Cowherd went on TV to say the Broncos should trade for or draft another quarterback. "Who's not Bo Nix?" he asked with that cynical little smile of his. Comparisons to Drew Lock were everywhere. "Another mediocre quarterback who won't take this team anywhere," the ESPN expert said. And look, I get it. The initial numbers were truly horrible. But Payton, once again, showed he doesn't abandon his guys. And Bo Nix? The kid simply evolved. In the last 14 games of last season, he threw 29 touchdowns against only 8 interceptions, with 67.2% pass completion. This year, the evolution continues. In the game against the Chiefs, who have a formidable defense, let's not forget, Bo Nix had 4 passes with over 20 air yards. Remember when they said he was the captain of short passes, that he couldn't make deep throws? Well, those plays against the Chiefs were simply breathtaking. And I'm not talking about lucky passes. I'm talking about perfect dimes, balls placed with surgical precision where only Cortland Sutton or Marvin Mims could catch them. And there's more. Bo Nix already has 8 fourth-quarter comebacks. 8. And we haven't even played 2 complete seasons yet. That's the highest number of comebacks for a player in his second year since 1950. Since 1950, folks. Eisenhower was president the last time this happened. This isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. When you have 8 fourth-quarter comebacks, you have something special. You have the clutch gene. You have what separates the good from the great. And if he gets just one more of these, which, looking at our schedule, let's hope we're not losing in another fourth quarter, Bo Nix is going to break that record and so much more. Another Anakin Skywalker on our team? Darren Rizzi, the special teams coordinator. At the start of the year, everyone was ready to run Rizzi out of town. The Broncos were going to fire him, the rumors said. Our starting field position was terrible due to many mistakes by the special teams unit, blocked kicks, horrible returns, questionable decisions. We lost that game against the Colts because of a blocked kick and a missed kick that turned into a controversial unfair advantage decision. Remember? It was a nightmare. And everyone blamed Rizzi. But Sean Payton said, "Rizzi is doing a great job. We're not firing Darren Rizzi." Yeah. And look at the difference now. In the game against the Chiefs, our special teams had an incredible day. 5 field goals converted by Will Lutz. We won the field position battle against a fantastic special teams coordinator they have in Kansas City. The transformation is absurd. And you know what this proves? That when you keep giving up on people year after year, you become the New York Jets. You never get to have that cohesion, that chemistry, that mutual trust that transforms good teams into championship teams. Now let me ask you a question. How many times have you seen Troy Franklin drop a ball and thought, this guy isn't it? How many times did you see Riley Moss with penalty problems and wanted him cut? I know you did, because I thought it too. But here's the lesson. Don't give up on players. Troy Franklin is the youngest player on this team. He's 21 years old, man. 21 years old, and we've already seen his ability to make big plays when he secured crucial victories for us and redeemed himself. The guy has talent, has speed, has hands. He just needs time and confidence. Riley Moss? Same problem. He had that 46-yard pass interference at the end of the Chiefs game that almost cost us the victory. And you know what he did? He took responsibility. I'm definitely going to take that last one. Poorly thrown ball. I can't be grabbing like that, Moss said. That's maturity. That's having character. And players with character always find their way. That's how you build a championship team, drafting well, developing those players, and supporting them through tough times. Speaking of not giving up on players, let's talk about Evan Engram. Throughout the preseason, everyone was excited. He would be the new slot receiver for the Denver Broncos, the tight end Bo Nix needed. But he underperformed early and didn't meet expectations. And then the whispers started. Another bad signing. We wasted money. He's washed. But that back injury of his was more serious than most imagined. We've seen this before with J.K. Dobbins, who was injured for almost a week before we knew what was going on. And with Alex Singleton last year, who tore his ACL, and we only found out a week later. Engram's back injury was more serious than Sean Payton wanted to admit because, let's face it, the guy doesn't like to show weakness. But now, healthy, Evan Engram is playing exactly as we expected. In the last game, the guy averaged 6.56 yards of separation, 6.5 yards. For a tight end to get that kind of separation is absurd. We're not talking about an agile player like Marvin Mims here. We're talking about a huge guy who shouldn't be getting almost 7 yards of separation. And you know what that means? That even I could complete a pass with 7 yards of distance. Bo Nix is eating with these options. Let's talk numbers now because, man, this defense deserves it. The Denver Broncos lead the league in sacks, not close to leading. Leading. We're about to break the NFL sack record, and this isn't fanboy talk. The numbers are there. Nick Bonito is having a historic season. The guy is unstoppable. Every week it's the same script. Bonito explodes through the line, gets to the quarterback before he blinks, and boom, another sack on the board. And it's not just him. Zach Allen, who just signed a contract extension, has 6 sacks, 29 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 30 QB hits. 30 QB hits, folks. The guy is on pace to finish with 9 sacks and 4 QB hits, which would be career-high numbers for him. And Jonathan Cooper, the guy is a pressure machine. He doesn't show up as much in the sack stats because often he's forcing the quarterback to throw the ball quickly. But when you watch the game, you see his impact. And Patrick Surtain, too, the best cornerback on planet Earth. The guy is unfair, literally unfair. He's got a 97 overall in Madden, and I still think that's low. No quarterback wants to throw to his side, 0. And when they try, it usually ends in an interception or pass defensed. Surtain has a different mentality, too. Sean Payton told him about the franchise interception record, Steve Foley with 44, and Surtain was like, all right, that's my goal now. The guy wants to be the best in Broncos history, not just the best now, the best of all time. That's championship mentality. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 2 straight wins against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me tell you what it was like watching that game on Sunday. My heart almost couldn't take it. The Chiefs were winning 19-17 with just a few minutes on the clock. Patrick Mahomes, the guy who has more Super Bowl rings than some entire franchises, was marching down the field. And we know this movie, right? We've seen this story. Mahomes working magic at the end. Chiefs winning again. Broncos left with that bitter taste, but not this time. This time was different. Our defense held. Vance Joseph made the right adjustments. And when Bo Nix got the ball back with 2 minutes on the clock, I looked at my friend and said, this kid is going to make history here. And he did. Methodical, surgical drive. Completed short passes when needed. Found Cortland Sutton at the right moment. And when Will Lutz came onto the field for the walk-off field goal, I couldn't even look. But Lutz, cold as ice, nailed it right down the middle. 22-19, Broncos. Empower Field at Mile High exploded. I hugged strangers. People were crying with joy in the stands. Because that victory wasn't just another win. That victory was confirmation that this team is real. That we're not just participating in the playoffs, we're competing for the Super Bowl. And now, at 9-2, leading the AFC West by 2 full games, having pushed the Chiefs to the brink of irrelevance with a 5-5 record, our candidacy as a real player in the NFL is undeniable. Undeniable. You know what I love most about this whole story? The way it was done. The Broncos didn't spend all their money on free agents trying to buy a championship. They didn't bring in stars from other teams with absurd contracts. We did a constant, organic rebuild. We have homegrown players, young and hungry, who want to be here. Nick Bonito, Broncos draft pick. Bo Nix, draft. Pat Certain, draft. Quinn Miners, draft. Garrett Bolles, draft. And when we brought in guys from outside like J.K. Dobbins, Evan Engram, and Talanoa Hufanga, they were players who fit the culture, who wanted to be part of something special, not mercenaries chasing the biggest paycheck. That's the right way to win in the NFL. And there's no more rewarding way. When you develop your own players, when you see guys you drafted becoming Pro Bowlers, All-Pros, MVP candidates, man, there's no better feeling. Now, let's not delude ourselves here. We still have work to do. The last 7 games of our regular season are brutal. 5 of our opponents have winning records. We're going to face desperate teams trying to get into the playoffs, and there's the issue of incomplete passes. The Denver Broncos lead the league in drops, and that's concerning. I know everyone gets upset thinking, man, Bo Nix would be so much better if we drafted a George Pickens or a Brian Thomas Jr. And look, it's true. It would be nice to have an explosive receiver like that, but the Broncos chose not to do that. They kept the guys we have because Sean Payton has a resume as long as the Bible proving that when he doesn't give up on players, good things happen. Very good things. And about the penalties, Riley Moss had those 2 pass interference calls against the Chiefs. One was questionable, the other was his fault. But the guy owned it, and when a player owns his mistakes, he grows, always. There's also the issue of J.K. Dobbins being on injured reserve now. We lost our starting running back, the guy who was 5th in the NFL in rushing yards. That hurts. But Tyler Beatty and Jaleel McLaughlin are going to have to step up, and I believe they will. Here's the point I really want to make. This Denver Broncos story is bigger than football. It's about perseverance. It's about believing in people when the whole world is telling you to give up on them. Vance Joseph could have accepted that his career as a defensive coordinator was over after that 70-20. He could have retired, become a TV commentator, anything. But no. He came back, worked, studied, improved, and now he's leading a historic defense. Garrett Bolles could have given up after those 17 penalties in 2019. He could have accepted being that guy who ruins offensive drives. But no. He worked on technique, discipline, mentality, and now he's one of the best at his position. Bo Nix could have let those 4 initial interceptions define his career. He could have become just another bust quarterback who couldn't adapt to the NFL. But no. He studied film, trained tirelessly, trusted the process, and now he's breaking historic rookie records. And that's why we're first place in the AFC. That's why we're 9-2. That's why the entire league is talking about the Denver Broncos again, not because of luck, not because of an easy early schedule, though it helped, but because we built it the right way. When you don't run your players out of town at the first sign of difficulty, when you invest in development, when you create a culture of accountability and growth, magical things happen. And this applies not just to football, but to life. How many times have you given up on something or someone too quickly? How many times didn't you give someone a second chance who deserved it? How many times didn't you believe in the process when things got tough? The Denver Broncos have shown us that patience, development, and trust are the keys. That not everyone is washed just because they had a bad season. That growth takes time. That trusting the right people even when it seems crazy, can lead to extraordinary results. We're heading into our bye week now, and it came at the perfect time. The players need to rest, recover, spend time with their families, but they also need to know one thing. What we're doing in Denver is special. This isn't normal. Teams don't go from 8-9 and a wild card elimination to 9-2 and Super Bowl contenders every year. This doesn't happen by accident, and I hope every player in that locker room understands the opportunity we have. Because look, I've been a Broncos fan for over 30 years. I saw John Elway, I saw Terrell Davis, I saw the original Orange Crush, I saw Elway's 2 Super Bowls, I saw Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning and that absurd defense. I know what it's like when the team is special. And this team? This team has that feeling, that it factor, that separates good seasons from legendary seasons. The defense is elite, historic. The quarterback is on a meteoric rise. The offensive line is protecting. The running game is working when healthy. Special teams turned it around. Everything is aligning. And when everything aligns like this, you can't let the opportunity slip away. So, Troy Franklin, if you're reading this, keep working on your hands. The big plays will come. Riley Moss, keep studying film. Keep improving in coverage. You'll be all-pro soon, I feel it. And to everyone in Broncos Nation reading this, believe. Believe in these guys. Don't give up on them when they have a bad game. Don't call for anyone's head after a loss, because if there's anything this season has taught us, it's that patience and faith are rewarded. And now, before I finish, let me ask you a question. Do you think this Denver Broncos team can really win the Super Bowl this year? Because I do. For the first time in almost 10 years, since that 2015 team with the no-fly zone and hobbled Peyton Manning, I truly, genuinely believe we can go all the way. The AFC is wide open. The Chiefs are vulnerable with that 5-5 record. The Bills are good, but can be beaten. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson, but also have inconsistencies. Us? We have the best defense in the league, a clutch quarterback, and a coach in Sean Payton, who's already won a Super Bowl. So I'm asking you again, and think carefully before you answer. Are you going to hop on this ride with us? Because this orange and blue train is leaving the station and won't stop until Tampa, host of Super Bowl LX. And when we get there, not if we get there, but when, we're going to look back and remember all of this. We'll remember Vance Joseph resurrecting his career, Garrett Bowles becoming elite, Bo Nix proving everyone wrong, Darren Reese saving special teams, Evan Engram getting healthy, every player who was almost run out of town but stayed and fought. Because at the end of the day, this is the most beautiful story in football. It's not about pure talent. It's not about being the team with the most stars or the biggest budget. It's about believing. It's about not giving up. It's about building something special together, brick by brick, game by game, win by win. And us? We're the Denver Broncos. We're Broncos Country, and we're back, baby. So hit that subscribe button down below if you believe. Leave your, if you feel something special is happening. And tell me in the comments, who's your favorite Anakin Skywalker on this team? Who do you think had the greatest redemption arc? Because this is just the beginning, people. The best is yet to come. And I can't wait to live it with you all. Until the next video, go Broncos.